now there is the Acme stamping of L bracket manufacturing process. This video is particularly for that people who are not from manufacturing and they want to know how something like this stamping operation, drilling operation is done. So I have taken some video from YouTube and put. So just to see the machines and the way it is processed. Do not see how the shop floor is, because this shop floor is not good. This is not my client also. And I do not know which company is this also. But it is just to indicate to you. Now, if you know these operations, then we will get into the case study of the Acme stamping. And you will be able to at least, because what product it is something that you should be able to comprehend. So this is the case study that I wanted you to check in the, which page number it is. I think I've written there somewhere. Okay. So you can read this case study, but what I want to highlight here is this. Let me just annotate and highlight for you. I'm not used to this much. Let me see this highlight feature. Draw. There are 18,000 brackets per month, requires daily shipments, and this is typically the 12,000 left hand drive and 6,400 of right hand drive, and the other packing details are also given here. So this is what I wanted to highlight here. The first step is, all of you please take good notes. The first step is to make sure that you always start with the customer. So see the case study, okay, and then write down all your customer requirements here. Like for example, it is 18,400 pieces the customer requires, and 12,000 of left and 6,400 of right. And there are additional customer requirements, like the tray consists of 20 pieces and the factory operates in 2 shifts. So this is the first step. Then the second step. What is the second step? We said cross-functional team is required who will collect the details on process, material, and information. So the process and data boxes, for example, you're walking upstream, right? So shipping details, that is, you are in the finished goods now, and you're trying to find out how much of FG is lying and how much is waiting to be shipped, etc. from that finished good. Then you walk upstream, you find an assembly line there, and you find one person working in the assembly line. Can you see that? Then you walk upstream, you find the assembly one line there. Then you walk upstream, which means that, towards the raw material, you find a welding station, second welding station there. Then you walk upstream, you find the first welding station there. Now, the first step was all the customer requirements you have written, and then you write all the process steps. Then you find there is a stamping happening. Now you will understand what a stamping is because you saw some video. Stamping is just chapa, right? And then you'll get that shape what you want from the metal. Now, if you see here in the earlier books, inventory was in inverted triangle. Now you can write in proper triangle. I'm showing this also because this is also a form of representation. Don't worry about how it is written. So I collect the material information. I'm trying to find out how much of coils are there. And the coils worth 5 days are there. Then I find that there is an inventory of 4,600 units of left bracket there and 2,400 units of right bracket there. And I noticed that before the welding station 2, there are 1,100 pieces of left and 600 pieces of right there. And after welding 2, how much do I find? 1,600 of left and 850 of right. And this is a physical inventory that I am writing down based on Gemba work. This is not from the software. This is very important. You are not going to look at the software. Don't accept if the supply chain person or somebody says, hey, you don't need to go. Everything's in the system. I will tell you. Never do that. This is physically, you will have to, sir, how can we count physically so much? If you can't count, approximately you will have the number of bins and quantity and approximate calculation you do and verify against the software to write the exact number to see whether it's more or less in alignment with that. There should not be a gross mismatch, but you'll have to see to believe it. That's the purpose of this. Now, having done this, what is the next step? Okay, let's see that. Now we said we wrote PMI there. So P stands for process information, M stands for material information, and I stands for the information flows. So these are all the process data box. For example, assembly 2, you put cycle time, changeover time, availability is 95%, number of shifts and all that. Sorry about the overlap of these because I changed from Keynote to PowerPoint, and while copy pasting, many things I changed, but some of the things still, there's a lot of minute work to be done. Okay, that's why your CT and 62 seconds is almost touching the top. I need to do some sort of an alignment. It doesn't save perfectly. When I changed from Keynote presentation to a lot of work to do for me when I converted it. So similarly, we have, so in this company, in Acme Stamping, the details are, who will give these details in case study? The case study, you'll have to see the case study and then you'll have to write from the case study. But in practicality, you have to go through Gemba work and get these details. At the bottom, you find some number here. So it says 27,600 seconds available, which means that is the time in which the machine is available for production. And here I've written something like EPE. EPE means every part, every something. Every week you can say, every part, every day you can say, every part, every shift you can say, every part, every month you can say. So those are all some terminologies used in some manufacturing processes. Acme, they have used such a certain terminology. So that's the second step. I'll go to the third step. Third step is include all material flows. So this material flow is also from the suppliers, how the material flows. The truck comes. You can see the truck symbol here every Tuesday and Friday. And you see here the truck is getting shipped 1x. 1x means it's a form of visual representation where you say 1 time a day. If the truck leaves 2 times, you can say 2x. Certain companies write 2x per week also, 2x weekly here in this case. But specifically, if you know it is on Tuesday and Friday, you can write. This is 1x daily means 1 time daily. Okay, that is material flows. Fourth step is include all information flows. Now, information flows in any company. you have something called as a planning and production department or production planning department. And they might use a software called the MRP. Okay, what is MRP? Material Resource Planning. Now, what they have to do, they are like a tank. They receive some water, they give away some water, they check for the balance, and then accordingly the water overflows. So similarly, like that, they receive orders and they'll have to cater to the customer. But before giving the plan, they will check for two things. Of course, I've got order for 1,000 samosas. But after I got order for 1,000 samosas, I will check whether I already have samosa made and kept yesterday. Or the better example would be some bread loaves or something, right? The bread loaves, at least they are kept for a few days, or maybe some sweets. Different types of, let's take a different new example. What is that sweet stall called as, Kanti sweets and some famous sweets in Mumbai? They've got different products. Now, you get the order. First, what they would check is, they would check whether the sweet is there in stock or not. Yes or no? So after they will adjust for whatever is there in the finished good already. They will also next check what is there in the work in progress. So if the biscuits or some sort of sweets are already in progress, they will take into account of that also, whatever is there in the inventory. And then they would see whether the raw material for these orders of sweets are available or not. If it is not available, then place the order. The same thing happens in production also. The sales order, you verify against the finished good that we already have, the work in progress that we already have, and the raw material that we already have. And depending upon that, you place the order for raw material if it is not there, or you foresee whatever that needs to come, and give the production plan to each of these processes. Let me explain this with an example. In this Acme company, the case study is what they have given is, they get 30-day forecast. Sometimes they give 60-day forecast. Sometimes that they give 90-day forecast. In your company, what is the type of forecast that they give? Do you get daily forecast? Definitely not. Okay. Do you get a weekly forecast? Very rare. Okay. Do you get a monthly forecast? Yes. Do you get a quarterly forecast? Sure, for sure. Do you get an annual forecast? Happily they'll give. Okay. So please type in your type of industry or in your company, what type of frequency you receive the forecast. Let's go ahead and see what else. And then you might get a daily order also. Do the customer gives daily order or weekly order? Monthly orders, daily orders, says I put weekly orders, says right. So yeah, you can see bi-weekly orders you get. Fantastic. So here, this company gets daily orders. They'll get daily confirmed orders. They say, sure, you send this. So production planning department will make a forecast for the raw materials. So my question to all of you is, you also make a forecast. You also give a forecast to, like the customer gives to you, you are the customer for your supplier. So how much of the visibility you give as a forecast? Do you give weekly forecast or to your suppliers, or do you give monthly forecast to your suppliers? Because your suppliers also, you're a customer to them. So they also have to get prepared. So what sort of forecast do you give to them, to your suppliers? What sort of forecast do you give? 3 months forecast is Mahindra, bi-weekly forecast is that to your suppliers, you say, okay, be prepared. Okay, be prepared. I need this. And then this company gives confirmed orders or purchase orders, we call it, right? We call purchase orders weekly. They give weekly. In this case study, if you read, this company gives confirmed purchase orders weekly. In your company, do you give weekly or do you give purchase orders on a daily basis, or for your key raw materials? Let's talk about for your key raw material only. Of course, if you take n number of raw materials, it can be different. But I'm talking about for your key raw material. Because generally people will type depends again. Okay, I'm not talking about consumables. I'm not talking about other minor raw materials. I'm talking about a key raw material. If you talk about top 2 or 3 key raw materials for yours, what is the confirmed order that you give? Weekly. Okay, that's why this company also gives weekly. Now, to make sure that enough quantity is available in inventory, you give orders so that material comes on time. And for that calculation, you also need to know forecast, and you adjust against the inventory and give the supplier the forecast. If this is clear, please type super clear in the comment box. And then they do the next step. After having received the orders, after having checked against the initial inventories, then they give the order to the suppliers also so that we don't run out of stock. Now they start planning each and every process. They say like this: stamping, you do so much of stamp. Welding, this is your plan for welding. Second welding station, this is your plan. You should do like this. Assembly station, you have to assemble this bracket so much. Here we are talking about only 2, left bracket and right bracket. This is a simple case study. We are starting with a simple case study. Next, we take an adhesive case study, which is a little bit complicated. And this example I've taken because you have a reference book, which is an ultimate book on value stream mapping, and one of the starting book. And the person who started the concept of value stream mapping has himself written this book. Okay, and these are all. And to the shipping, this company in their case study writes the daily shipment schedule that it gives. Daily, it gives one paper where it gives a shipment schedule. Whereas to all the assembly stations, for example, welding 1, assembly 2, it gives a weekly schedule. But then we give schedule to each and every station. And so based on that schedule, they will make as per schedule and move it to the next station. They'll make as per schedule and move it to the next station. There is no pull system, because if you are making to schedule, it is called push system. All of you take notes of this. If it is made to schedule, it is called push system. So you need to represent by push arrows, small batch, whatever. So it is in batches, and it is not made to what the next person wants. But generally, if schedule is given, that means you do as per schedule, irrespective of what the other person wants. That's what it means. The planning person knows what the other person wants and schedule accordingly. That's different. But as far as you are concerned, as far as if I'm the process, I will do what is given to me. I will not check what they require. Whether what I'm doing has been checked and given to me is a different question. This is what is the difference between pull and push. So this is a type of push system. Whenever I'm making to schedule, it is called as push system. Whenever I'm making, after seeing what the next person wants, I don't care about what plan is given to me. I do what the next person wants. It's a pull system. Then we start writing the timelines. Okay, I've written 5 days here. I've written 1 second here. I've written 7 to 6 days here, 7.6 days here. I've written 39 seconds, 1.8 days here, 46 seconds, 2.7 days, 62 seconds, 2 days and 40 seconds, and so on and so forth. And finally, I've written here 23.6 days and value added time.